Okay, we are recording this call for transparency and to document, the ideas that come up, as well as for educational purposes. And we'll be posting this on social media, posted up on YouTube. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'm Edwin Rutch, the director of the Center for Building a Culture of Empathy. And this is the first of a series of what we call empathy circles to discuss a vision for the property at 1964 Canoas Rd. I don't know if I'm even pronouncing that correctly.
Las Canoas.
Las Canoas Road, previously St. Mary's Seminary. And what we're doing is we're inviting the Santa Barbara community, neighbors, others interested in the development of the space property to take part in these empathy circles to sort of envision what that property or what that retreat center could look like. And so you're the first three participants to take part. We had someone else too, but he was in Antarctica and hoped he could call in from Antarctica. He's on vacation there, so he may not be able to connect with us. And the description, and we want to also invite others in the community to reach out. My contact info will be in the description below. And if you want to take part in one of these empathy circles, we want to invite any viewers to join us. And my email will be in the description below. So I wanted to start off with just going around, just everyone introduce themselves, your name, your location, and why you're interested in, taking part in this visioning circle, and keep it to about a minute, because just as an introduction, then we'll go into depth a little bit later. So just to model that, I'm Edwin Rutch, director of the Center for Building a Culture of Empathy. I live here in the San Francisco Bay Area, just north of Berkeley and El Cerrito. And I'm interested in this visioning project because Charles just purchased it, told me that he, was wanting someone to help direct the project. And so I'm interested in kind of helping in doing that, and just really interested in hearing from the community what their thoughts are. So Rosa, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Rosa Alvarado. I'm in Santa Barbara, very close to the project location, actually. I'm an architect in Santa Barbara. I work with 196 Architects, and I've had the pleasure of working on that site for the last few years with the previous owner. I have familiarity with the buildings and the site, and I'm excited to be part of this discussion.
Great, thank you. Angela?
Hi, I'm Angela Granziera. I too am in Santa Barbara, and I teach yoga and run retreats, manage yoga studios, and I do retreats up in Canada in the summertime. And we were looking at that property ages ago, friends, to run retreat centers. So I'm just to see if there's anything I can add or help, and that's it.
Great, thank you. And Charles? And your name, it says Annie. It's not Annie.
Annie.
That's his daughter. So
yeah, one daughter's named Annie and the other is Mirabella, and I also have two sons. So I'm married with 4 children, live in Sacramento, and I purchased the property. That's about it. I'm actually on the road today traveling to the property, so I'll probably just listen in for the most part.
okay, thanks, Charles. Karen?
I'm actually looking at the property as we speak. That's my view from my house, so I'm a close neighbor. There was a lot, actually, let me get back a step, tell you who I am. I'm an illustrator. I do work for magazines, private institutions, people, commissions. My interest was largely how it would affect the immediate neighborhood. And I think it's a great idea for it to be a sort of retreat, wellness, whatever. I think that is a lot better than what we thought was going to be there was, as you know, before you purchased it, a lot of talk about making it a homeless facility for quite a large number of people, which would have been, I think, a dangerous thing to do given the environmental impact of the area. So I'm really happy that you guys purchased it and will do something that's more in line with what I think the community wants. So now, by way of selfishness, we could maybe do something up there like to display illustration is this amazing art that sometimes is underrated compared to fine art, but it'd be great to have sort of a gallery space up there. I know you have a lot of square footage, so it'd be fun to do things that maybe are a little bit out of the box that you haven't thought of.
Oh,
That's just-
great. Yeah,
yeah.
that's the kind of things we want to hear about here. So,
Yeah.
so glad you're taking part in this first empathy circle. And like I said, we're going to have a whole series of these to
Yeah.
really give people a chance to share, you know, their ideas and hopes and dreams and visions for the space. And so
Yeah.
we are wanting to use the empathy circle practice. It's the best practice I know to ensure that everyone can freely express themselves, you know, say whatever is on your mind, and that everyone can feel heard and understood to their satisfaction. So it's the best sort of a gateway practice for, you know, nurturing that listening and that empathic sort of way of being. And so the empathy circle practice, I did send out the information on how it works. The instructions. And so one person will be the speaker. You'll select who you speak to, and you share a little bit, you know, an idea or two, and then you pause and you wait to get a reflection, a recap of from your listener, and they'll reflect back what you heard to your satisfaction. So share an idea or two. For example, Karen, you were saying that you had concerns about the previous, you know, making it into a homeless center, and that you're kind of maybe feeling some excitement about, you know, using the space in the way that it was more intended.
Yeah.
So that would be reflecting back kind of what you had said to make sure that you feel heard and understood. If the, oh, hi, Vasilisa. So if you, if you don't feel understood, you can just say it again until you feel heard and understood to your satisfaction. We do turn taking, so we're going to start off with 4-minute turns. So, and I'll keep time, and when the time is up, you know, I'll hold up a little sign just says time is up. And since some people are on cell phone, I'll give a little notice too, just saying that your time is up. And then once the time is up, or you felt heard to your satisfaction, you can say, I feel heard to my satisfaction. Then the listener becomes the speaker, and they select who are their listeners, and that person reflects back. And we just go around like that for the time allotted, probably about an hour and a half or so. I imagine we'll see. We usually go for 2 hours, but since Charles is on the car, we'll see. Maybe it'll be a little bit less. So with that, remember to pause when you're speaking. You know, maybe I'll even hold up a sign if you kind of go on for quite a while. It's hard for the listener to reflect back what you're saying. So be sure to, you know, say an idea, pause, and then you'll get a reflection. And many of you are probably very familiar with the active listening anyway, so that we're just using the active listening process. So to begin with, I'll just open it up. I'll be the first listener just to sort of model the listening. So who would like to speak? And you have 4 minutes. And yeah, so and the topic is, what is your vision for the 1964 Las Canoas Road space, formerly St. Mary's, and or whatever's alive for you. So whatever's on your mind here, just whatever you feel energy about. So
I'd like to start, if I may.
okay, yep, listening.
Okay, well, Karen, I couldn't agree with you more. I'm not a direct neighbor of the facility or the St. Mary's site, previous St. Mary's site, but I do know historically, when it was the St. Mary's Seminary, it was in fact used for a retreat. And I imagine that traffic is a concern for you. So I'm sure that not having it become a homeless shelter is probably, you know, the best thing that you could have heard, because, you know, it'll be more controlled, I think, with a retreat environment. I loved your idea of the gallery as well as the yoga, Angela.
Can I reflect that back, just if you pause there a second? So I'm hearing you're sort of agreeing with Karen that maybe a homeless center wasn't the best use of the space, and having it be a retreat center, which it was before, after it was a seminary, that it already had that use, and then you're going into some of the applications, some of the things that could be done there.
Yeah, it was used as a retreat previously. It was a Catholic seminary, and they had marital retreats there. I know people who actually participated in them there. As you may or may not know, there is a chapel there. I was especially happy to hear from Charles rather, that you probably will maintain the chapel in its condition and not gut it and use it for another use. I think that's really exciting for me. And to be able to use it as a retreat, as it was previously used, I think would be the best use of the site. It's a gorgeous site. I'm not sure how many of you have actually walked it, Angela and Karen, on site, but
I haven't, I'd love to, sorry.
yeah, it's phenomenal. The views are spectacular. Yoga practices right out in the lawn there overlooking the city would be phenomenal. We've actually thought about that in the past. As I mentioned, I have worked with previous owners of the facility, and they were looking to turn it into a residential treatment facility, which was also something that was more controlled and, a good use of the space as well. I think it's a very serene space, very beautiful, quiet space, and the use for a retreat, I think, is really exciting to me.
So I'm hearing that the use as a retreat center is very exciting to you. You find it's a very beautiful, serene space. You're seeing the place, a good place for yoga out on the lawn. And there's a quality of the controlled aspect too, that the retreat center is more controlled versus let's say a homeless
Or a hotel
shelter,
or residential.
or a
whatever it
hotel,
may have
yeah,
been,
or even a
considered.
residential treatment center.
Yeah, the density up there probably would be more difficult, but yeah, I think it's the most appropriate use of that space.
So a retreat center would be the best use of that space,
In my opinion, yes.
yeah, in your opinion.
Do you have any idea?
Oh, wait, Karen,
Oh,
we'll
sorry.
be taking turns.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
as soon as it'll come around to you, and you'll get to share whatever, but we kind of make sure that it's just one person speaking, one person reflecting, and we go through that process. So with that, Rosa feels heard, and I'm going to reset the timer. So I'll speak to Charles. Just model it. You're muted, Charles.
Okay.
Okay, I'm really excited about this first empathy circle with this group. I'm just so grateful for everyone taking part in this.
Okay, so you're very grateful for the empathy circle. You enjoy the empathy circles, and you're excited about it.
And I'm glad that you're taking part too, Charles, because you've done family empathy circles. So we have in our family, we do these family empathy circles, and it's just a good way for everyone to, kind of feel that they can express themselves and feel heard.
So you're glad I'm here because I've done these empathy circles before in our family.
Yeah. And, when you purchased, I mean, I just got a call like a couple months ago. It's like, you called and said, hey, guess what? I bought a monastery. It's like, whoa, sort of out of the blue, it's like, hey, do you want to help manage it? And so it was like a bit of a shock to me.
So it was kind of a surprise out of the blue statement when I contacted you about a month ago saying, hey, I bought a monastery.
Yeah, and I had, for me, it was like, oh, do I want to, help sort of manage it and kind of set it up? And it's a lot of unknowns. It just seems like a lot of work. But as I'm getting to know the community, I'm sort of really warming up to it. So, talk to Rosa, talk to other people, and I'm just starting to feel more of a sense of connection with the community. And this empathy circle, I think, is helping for that too.
So Yeah, at first I said, hey, would you like to help me run a retreat center? And you're probably initially somewhat excited about it, but had reservations. But as you are doing this more and talking to people, and people have been excited about it in the community, so you're warming up to the idea of helping to run the retreat center.
Yeah, I think we have like 18 people or 15 or so people interested in taking part in these empathy circles. So, we're that seems like a good way to connect with the community, to just start brainstorming ideas of how it could be used.
So there's about 18 people wanting to take part in these empathy circles with the community, and you believe it's a good brainstorming idea.
And just a quick thing, I did see some of the videos of the protests that were there, when using the space as a homeless and somebody said, we didn't have a seat at the table. So this empathy circle is really a way for the community to have a, quotes, seat at the table. So we hear all the voices.
So you're referring to the online video where some neighbors were protesting, and one was saying they didn't have a voice or a seat at the table. So you believe these empathy circles are a good way for everyone to be heard, and yeah.
Yeah, I feel fully heard. Yep. So it's your turn. Select your listener.
Okay, I'll speak to Angela. So I guess people are wondering why I bought the property. So I'll just talk about that a little bit. So a friend of mine who's kind of into real estate and stuff mentioned that the property was being auctioned off online. And I thought it was a very interesting property. Always kind of had an idea of a retreat center in the back of my mind. So I decided to bid on it. And I bid on it a couple times and decided not to, and the price went up a little higher. And then they said, well, the next bid meets the reserve price. So I said, well, I'll bid one more time. So I met the reserve price, and then nobody bid higher after that, and I became the owner.
Do you want to reflect that, Angela, what you heard Charles say?
Yes, I hear that you had a friend who directed you to this property, and that you were intrigued by the property, and that in the process of bidding you were interested, then a little hesitant, and then you did one more bid and you got it.
Yes. So I'm glad I've got my brother here who is warming up to the idea of helping me run the retreat center, because I don't think I could do it by myself. So,
Oh, sorry. I reflect now. May I? Or you're frozen.
yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. So I'll just let you have time to talk now.
So if you just give that last reflection, then you can go ahead. Just that he was glad that I was here.
Yes, that we heard that part, but then you froze, Charles. So we missed the last
sorry. I was just saying I'm glad that I have my brother to help me run the retreat center. I hope he decides to take a large, responsible role in it.
So you want to just reflect that back, Angela? Then
that you are grateful that your brother is involved, and you hope that he takes on a large portion of the role to make this retreat center a reality.
Yes, thank you.
So
it's your
Angela,
It's my
yeah,
turn.
select your listener, maybe Karen who hasn't listened yet.
I'll pick Karen.
Uh-oh.
Then, my vision, I guess I would love to hear what you are meaning by retreat center, because as a person who's taught, run retreats, and loves startup, there's so many possibilities. So living in Santa Barbara for the last decade or so has opened my eyes to not only how beautiful this community is, but how underserved it is. So when I was hosting yoga retreats, there was no place in Santa Barbara. Well, there was the White Lotus, but there wasn't a lot of opportunities. And people come here for weekends, and people come have weekend homes in Los Angeles. And I feel it's important to continue to teach, to learn, and to inspire.
Remember to pause, give Karen a chance to reflect.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
And Karen, what did you hear Angela say?
She wants you to delineate what you mean by a retreat center in specifics. Do you mean people sleep over? Do they come for a day? Are they, are you attracting people from other areas? My question is there, have you thought about?
So all you want to do is at this point, just reflect what Angela said. It'll come to, you'll be next after this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, and that Angela was saying how she loves startups, and I can testify that she's extraordinarily good at startups, having experienced them. Am I not supposed to say that?
Right. You just reflect back what you're hearing.
Okay.
You'll get a chance in a minute.
Undisturbed community, and important to teach, learn, inspire, and really give something back to the community that I think it needs.
Yes. Yes. And I'm excited that it's going to stay a retreat center. The location's phenomenal, and I'm aware of the impact it could have on the neighbors, traffic wise and otherwise. But I think that's it. Pausing.
So do you want to reflect that back, Karen, what you heard?
Angela is very sensitive to the neighborhood and the location, yet the location offers some real benefits as well. Privacy and beauty and space.
Totally. And I think there's, especially since COVID, there is a need for people to connect in a way that is not necessarily possible just through coffee shops and, classes or yoga or gyms or fitness facilities, but a way to, I would love for there to be a place where people can go and recharge and be accepted as they are and leave a little fuller for the visit. That's too esoteric, Karen, sorry.
Sorry. Am I reflecting?
Yeah,
that?
you're just reflecting what you heard Angela say.
Sort of emphasizing the need to connect, especially with COVID, sort of separating people more than we'd like. And given that there's a lot of, again, space, you're not in a confined gym. But I love the idea that Angela said about recharging and coming back a little fuller, better, more, more person, I guess.
Okay, and that was the time too. That was 4 minutes. So your turn now, Karen, to select someone, perhaps Rosa, who hasn't listened.
Rosa. And can mine be sort of questions, or is that?
You can say anything you want. You can pose questions, you make anything, whatever you want.
I was more wondering about how much thought there had been into how you're going to structure it. Is it going to be a for-profit? Is it going to be a non-for-profit? Is it going to be, who you envision as your clientele? That would, I guess, would be predicated on your fee structure. If you have retreats, will it be overnights? Will it be day retreats? Will it be some combination thereof? How much of the space are you going to be using? Questions like that. Are people going to be, like, do you envision 100 people at a retreat or 15, or will it depend on the type of retreat? I guess those are some of my questions.
Karen, what I heard you're asking is, what are the visions for how the facility will be structured? What types of activities will occur, whether or not they will be structured? I heard you ask if there would be overnight stays or if it was just going to be a day. And you also are wondering how many people are going to be at the location at any given point. Those are the things that I heard you question. And I'm not sure at this time. You asked also about whether or not it was going to be a nonprofit or a profit organization. And you wanted to know what my vision was for that. I'll leave that to Edwin and Charles when we get further into that discussion.
Is there more, Karen?
No, that's great. I think that covers
Okay.
sort of the basic questions about, as again, 'cause I'm presenting as the neighbor who lives literally within eyesight. So that's all of that's great information.
Okay, so you feel heard. I guess it's
Oh, yeah.
Rosa, your turn, if you want to select someone to speak to.
Edwin, I'll speak to you.
Okay, I'm listening.
I'm fascinated by the circle of empathy, and I'm excited to be here. I'm looking forward to hearing what your plans are for this site. As has been mentioned, there are endless possibilities and opportunities with this site, and I'm excited to hear about some of them that I've heard today already. I'm excited to be part of this process and look forward to seeing what it ultimately becomes. I appreciate that you guys are going to continue the spirit of this space in this way.
So I'm hearing you're appreciating that we're continuing the use of the space as a retreat center. You're also interested in how it will unfold, and just have some appreciation also for the empathy circle practice that we're doing. So a lot of interest and curiosity.
Yeah, and I'm just happy that the space is actually going to be occupied once again. It's been, empty for a very, very long time, pretty much abandoned. There's a lot to be done on the property. There are, a lot of TLC is needed. We did do some tenant improvements in 3 of the, I think, 7 buildings, but there's still much to do. And it's going to be a thriving center at some point. And I'm excited as a Catholic that the church is going to be maintained and retained, and just really happy that it's going to be appreciated for the space that it was, built as, and not converted into something completely different.
So you're glad to hear that the church will be maintained and it's not going to be turned into something completely different. And let's see, what else? I went blank there for a minute.
That it'll be occupied.
That it will be occupied. It's been sitting empty for a long time, and just that it will be productively occupied and put to use. And it's just, I think it's a great resource, and just that it's going to be used effectively. And there's a lot of tender, loving care needed to continue to renovate and fix it up.
Yeah, I think it's underutilized now. There used to be groups that, use the gym. There's a space that has a library with an amazing collection of religious books, a collection of really cool things. And it's just collecting cobwebs. So the fact that the community will have possibly the opportunity to bring some life back into this facility is really exciting to me.
Yeah, it's really exciting to you that the facility will be able to be used, that some life will come in, that previously the gym had been used, the library, and it's just not being used, and just glad that it's going to be used productively for the community's benefit.
Mhm.
Is there more? Do you feel heard?
I feel heard at this point. Thank you.
Okay. I'll speak to Charles then. You're muted, Charles. Yeah, you're muted still. So yeah, in terms of how the facilities will be used, I think part of it is to have these dialogues to sort of work our way into it. You know, it seems like there's a lot of possibility for a lot of different types of classes and workshops. I was hearing yoga, I was hearing, you know, space for art type things, you know, displays. So there's a lot of possibilities. And I think I'm just still trying to work my way into, you know, the possibilities.
So you heard a lot of possibilities, and you're just considering all the different possibilities.
And I had lived for a year at Esalen Institute, so I had worked there. So I have a sense of the type of workshops that Esalen held. We had a meeting with David Price, whose father started Esalen, and he was also director there for 10 years, I think. So we're kind of in the phase of reaching out, trying to, you know, just to learn, you know, more about the possibilities.
So you lived at Esalen for about a year, and you're familiar with the kind of workshops they did there. You've talked to one of the sons of the founders of Esalen, and he was a director there. So you're kind of considering the possibilities.
Yeah, and like this, I see these circles as a way of connecting with the community. So Angela does yoga retreats, yoga work. It seems like a great place, you know, out on the lawn there to be doing yoga, for example, you know, holding those kind of workshops. And my partner Joan, the first thing she said is the Allen Art Center. So she's really into the arts. So she just, I think that ties in with what Karen was saying about places to display art. So it's a lot, is just, yeah, there's a lot of possibilities. So it's just trying to figure out, you know, how to kind of move step by step towards that.
So yeah, you're saying there's a lot of possibilities there for like yoga on the lawn overlooking the ocean. There would be a good place for yoga, and it would be a good place for art, either to display art or to teach art classes, that kind of a thing. Was there more?
Yeah, that was it. So there's you know, as a director of the Center for Building a Culture of Empathy, our center is really about building a more empathic society. So placing empathy, mutual listening as a core foundational cultural value. And so I'm excited about that being sort of a central value of the space, to bring different people together, which is what we're doing right now. I mean, we're sort of walking the talk right now. So
Your kind of life purpose is to build a culture of empathy, and you're excited to make that part of the retreat center. And so I know you would like to have occasional empathy training, retreats, or workshops held there.
yeah, and a large part of what we do is we bring different sides together. So we've done work with the Republicans, the Democrats, you know, left, right, bring them together in dialogues. Our empathy tent team, we've gone out to these demonstrations where there's like street fights between the, previously when Trump was in office in LA and in Sacramento and the Bay Area. We would go there and offer listening to both sides and try to bring the sides together into kind of a constructive dialogue. So that's a big part of what we do too, is try to bring, different, bridge those personal, social, and political divides.
So one thing you've done is, or an emphasis is to kind of bridge the divides in society, like the divide between the left and the right, and you've gone to protests and set up your empathy tent and encouraged both sides to talk to each other.
Yeah, and that's my time. I feel fully heard.
Okay. I'll talk to Karen. So Karen, you were wondering if this would be a nonprofit or a profit enterprise. And I'm kind of considering the possibilities. Maybe one possibility was creating a nonprofit, and then the nonprofit would just rent the property. I kind of like it to at least break even. So that's kind of my goal, is just to at least break even. Reflect back on that.
You want
Am
to
I
reflect? Yeah,
Good.
just reflect back what you
Sorry.
heard, Karen. Just what did you hear Charles say?
Thank you for addressing that. Profit or nonprofit, and that Charles would like to break even on the property. Yeah.
My vision, an idea is just for the property to be a place where religious or learning or things like health or yoga, education, church camps, marriage retreats, youth camps, all of those different possibilities.
Great. You envision some kind of religious and learning and health kind of application, and church camp? Is that like youngster
Yeah,
church
like
camp?
men's retreats, women's retreats, marriage retreats, youth camps.
Got it. Yeah. Do you envision?
Can you just reflect back? Just
Oh,
what-
I'm sorry. Sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah, church camps, marriage retreats, men and women's retreats, youth retreats, and camps. Was sort of your.
So right now, there's been about 15 or so rooms that have been renovated already. And there's also a dormitory and then a library kind of classroom building. And I intend to continue the renovation with that. So Rosa, the architect, will be coming up with some ideas for renovating those buildings. And then I'll proceed with renovating that. And the rooms that have already been renovated don't have furniture right now. So in the next month, I'll be kind of finalizing what kind of furniture to buy. Kate, would you like to reflect on that?
Yeah, 15 rooms are being renovated, and there's a dorm, and I wasn't precisely sure if you're renovating the dorm, but that's obviously a space that exists. The library and the classrooms, and Rosa's involved in this project, and that you're going to probably furnish them at some point with furniture, so they're useful. Yeah.
Yes, the dormitory building still needs to be renovated. So that's,
Okay,
so that's on the to-do list.
so dorms still need to be renovated.
Yes. So Karen, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, so am I allowed to ask them now?
You can ask Charles if you want,
Okay,
then but he'll reflect back
Do
first.
you sort of see it as it is now in terms of what it looks like? Do you see it more upscale? Do you see it more like campy? I mean, obviously, Rosa, you've been involved with that too. It needs a great deal of work, I'm assuming, since it has been dormant for a while. And I'm just wondering, aesthetically, since I look at it, if you've any thought about what it might look like physically as you change it, both externally and internally.
Well, for the most part,
Charles, just to stay within the process, do you want to just reflect back what you're hearing for what the question
Okay.
was?
So you're wondering if there will be aesthetic changes both internally and externally.
Yep.
And so
Yeah, is there more, Karen, or do you have?
Oh, is he allowed to answer those questions?
Not
or-
until you're complete with your,
Oh, that's it. Yeah, no.
okay, you feel
completely
heard.
fine.
Okay, then
Yeah,
Charles,
no,
you
I'm
can.
definitely heard. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So you can select your listener, Charles.
well, for the most part.
Who are you
it will
speaking
be-
to, Charles?
Well, I'm speaking back to Karen.
Okay, great.
So for the most part, I think it will look mostly the way it is now. There won't be too many big changes. On the lawn, kind of overlooking the ocean, I plan to put in some new lawn, some new sod, and kind of make that area look better. Maybe pave the path that goes around it. So I do have some ideas for improving it, making it look a little bit better, but for the most part, it will be aesthetically the same.
Am I allowed to?
If you just reflect back, we're just staying within the
You're gonna
circle
keep-
process.
You're gonna do a lawn but basically keep it as it is. So there's not gonna be huge monumental changes to it.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I feel heard.
Okay, your turn, Karen, whatever.
Am I
Select
allowed to
whoever.
ask a question?
Yeah, you can select someone to speak to, or
Well, can I just go back and continue this dialogue for a second?
go ahead. Yeah.
Just a question, have you, this is a selfish question, but the outside from where I look looks very institutional. So I was wondering if you were thinking of maybe painting the exterior or doing something. It's got like a pink and beige faded sort of, I would love you to come to my house and see how much of my view is that facility. Anyway, that's just a selfish question, but I thought I'd pop that in there.
Okay, so you're wondering if I have any plans of changing the exterior because you think it looks kind of institutional, and I think you think the color of it on the outside isn't very appealing. I'll respond to that. I didn't have any plans to paint the exterior, but I'm open to considering it. I know it's kind of a brick exterior, so it has a natural brick color, whatever that is. I'm going there today, so I'll take a look at that, make a note of that, and then I can tell you better what I think.
Thank you.
So you want to reflect that, Karen?
Ed is going there today and we'll look at it and sort of, he hadn't planned on changing it, but we'll look at it and sort of see. I imagine there's probably just one thing on the very long laundry list.
Is there more, Charles, or do you feel heard?
I feel heard.
Okay, Karen, if you want to select someone to speak to, you're,
I'll talk to Angela. Okay.
Listening.
Well, mostly may I just step back for a second? Mostly what I have are questions. So I'm not sure how I can like effectively ask Angela. I mean, can I draw her out about what she's thinking about for her?
you can
For
say
like-
anything you want. She'll just reflect back in
Angela, can
what's,
you tell us a little bit about how you would like put together a program and well, here's my one. I mean, do you think of an executive director of the property would make sense to oversee all of the various functions that would go on there, including yoga? You've run these things before. You've been in business. You've been, a successful executive. Do you think it makes sense for them to have like an executive director who's not only doing yoga and wellness, but can coordinate various and other activities there? Is that something that would make sense for that facility?
Okay, so I'm hearing that you're asking me whether Charles and Edwin, have considered an executive director to figure out what activities would be offered.
Right, and to run and manage it, sort of.
And to run and manage
Day
it.
to day.
Okay.
And the reason I ask that is because I think it would be great if the community had somebody they could sort of have a senior enough level contact person who'd be sensitive to what's going on, in this fairly diverse, interesting neighborhood.
Right. So you're looking for someone that's, I think, here that would run the center.
Right.
Okay.
is there more, or do you feel heard?
Well, can I say something selfishly? I would feel really good if somebody like Angela ran it. I would know
Okay.
the neighborhood was well served. I would feel like, she's an extraordinary listener and she's extraordinarily empathetic. And I don't know, I just would feel good if I knew somebody like that had the responsibility to make this thing, a great place, and that it would be well run. I guess it would be well managed. So.
Okay. Now I feel embarrassed. But I think
Sorry,
no. What Karen is saying is that you would feel better if it was someone that you knew and someone that was local and someone that had the experience, would make you feel more comfortable about the retreat center.
Mhm.
Okay.
So you feel heard, and then I guess it's Angela's turn to select someone.
Okay. Who hasn't had a turn? Charles? I don't think Charles. I picked Charles. I choose Charles. I'm excited. Sorry, I'm very excited that Edwin worked at Esalen, because there was a time where a friend was looking for marriage help and the closest place to go to was Esalen. And I thought, why don't we have an Esalen here? Please bring Esalen here. So I'm super stoked that the language is even in there.
So you're pleased that Edwin has some experience with Esalen, because Esalen is kind of like the closest place to do something like this. So you're excited that he's involved.
Mm-hmm. And I am wondering whenever I've run something, I have a business plan in mind. So for me, I have not a red flag, but I'm curious about renovating without an overall picture. So sometimes the buildings speak to what can happen, but mostly I feel it's tricky territory to start like buying furniture and renovating without a clear vision. And I know that this process is to do that, but I'm wondering whether you have a clear vision. I'm not wording this properly. So I just like to proceed with certainty. So this building will be used for this, and this building will be used for that. And I'm not sure that that's been done. So it's a question. Really poorly worded question, sorry.
So it's a little hard to hear everything in the car, but you're kind of wondering what the vision is for each room and for each part of the property. And so you think it's important to have an idea for that before buying like furniture and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think that because there's so many possibilities for this place, and I do believe you can have profit centers that will fund other less profitable centers. I think you can make it profitable.
I didn't hear everything. You were talking about profit, but you're kind of breaking up.
Okay, so I will repeat. I think it is possible to run that there will be different profit centers if it's structured properly, not properly. If it's, I think you can structure it in a manner that you will have profit centers that are reliable and that can fund less profitable areas.
Okay, so you're saying there'll be different purposes, and some will be more profitable than others, and the profitable ones can support the unprofitable ones.
Yeah, that's it. I feel heard. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll speak to, I don't know, is there anybody who wants to speak after me?
Rosa hasn't gone for a while.
Okay, I'll speak to Rosa. So I do want to make the property open for purposes in the community that that would be kind of free uses of the space. I heard that there was some AA meetings going on there and that they had to stop using the space. So I'd be happy to let them use a classroom for free, that kind of idea. So that's just one possibility.
Okay, Charles, I hear that you understand that there have been groups that have used this facility in the past and that you're open to the idea of offering these types of uses for the buildings again. You understand that a group of AA members met regularly at this site, and you're open to the idea of offering one of the classrooms for that use. And that you want to offer different programs for free to the community.
Yes, I feel heard. Okay, you can speak now.
Thank you. I'm just going to touch on some of the things that I heard Angela speak to.
Who are you speaking to?
I'm speaking back to Angela.
Okay.
Angela, I heard that you want to make this a place where people can come and feel better. I think it was you that said feel better when you leave. And I think the space, although it has been improved, the uses of the buildings that were improved have been maintained. They are resident rooms, and so those buildings have been turned back into resident rooms. And I think whatever the use is going to be, ultimately there will be people staying there. So it's not too much of a waste of funds, I guess is the word, for what has already been put there. But the beauty of this site is that there's already existing space for galleries. There's already a space for the yoga. There's already a space for learning and education. And there's also a religious space, and actually a space for health. You know, there's a full gymnasium that's in very good condition there. And so the beauty of this facility is that all of those uses are already there. And they just, as I mentioned earlier, need a little bit of TLC. But I think there's opportunities for all of those uses that have been mentioned. And what has already been done is not, you know, I guess the word is not done in vain. It's already been improved, so it'll be put to good use.
Okay, so I think let's see if I get this, what I'm hearing is that the facility itself is it's diverse, and it already has buildings that you've put energy into to reestablish them as they once were, and that, if I'm hearing correctly, the buildings lend themselves to the purpose. So nothing is wasted. Okay.
Thank you, I feel heard.
Thank you.
Okay, who are you speaking to, Angela?
Who am I speaking to? I don't. You.
Okay,
you, Ed.
listening. Mhm.
I'm not sure what else to add to it. Like I said, when the buildings create their spaces and their uses sort of pop up, then it becomes. I loved that, you know, Charles offered for things. Okay, starting again, scratch, blah, rewind. So all of what is really beautiful about you two brothers and Rosa, because I know Karen, is that you have been so kind as to hold the community's interests and thoughts in space. And I think you couldn't start from a better place.
So what I'm hearing is an appreciation for us holding the sort of awareness of the community, and you feel it's a really good starting space.
Oh, yeah.
What we're doing, and hearing some gratitude for that appreciation.
Well, yes. And I think when you start from gathering opinions, then fear dissipates, and obviously you are good at eliminating the divisiveness, which has become so much part of the algorithm of our current world. And I'm excited for the possibility.
Yeah, you're excited for the possibility of the space, and you just see that when people aren't talking to each other, listening to each other, fear is created. And so dialogue maybe is a good first step.
And Santa Barbara is a city with a lot of firsts. And I think there might be an opportunity for another first here. I'm not sure yet what, but. Right?
Yeah, so Santa Barbara has a lot of firsts, and maybe there's an opportunity here for another first. You're not quite sure what that is, but you're seeing the potential.
Yeah, my heart.
Okay, I'll speak to Rosa. Yeah, I really appreciate all your insights. This is very clear about the space. I mean, you've had a lot of experience with it, so glad that you're here with us.
And when I hear that you are appreciative of my knowledge of the site, I have insight to the site, and you're happy about that.
And in terms of, there's 2 wings to the property, and one wing has been renovated. So there has 14 rooms that are available for occupancy, for overnight stay. I mean, there's no furniture, but those rooms are there, as well as there's several sort of rooms, you know, for like workshops, and some really big, you know, like cafeteria, 2 big cafeteria size rooms.
So you understand that the 2 residential wings have been renovated, and that there are 2 large spaces, which were dining spaces, that have also been renovated. And you still have to furnish those resident rooms that have been renovated.
And then there's the chapel, and under the chapel is an area that can be used sort of, I don't know, multi-purpose rooms, and it just needs to be cleaned up and painted, so it doesn't look like too much needs to be done there. So there's 3 pretty large rooms that are, they're already quite close to being usable.
You understand that there's a chapel in place, and below the chapel, there are spaces there that can be fairly easily cleaned up and used fairly soon.
And then there's one wing, which is the dormitory, and that's kind of what you're working on with Charles to look at for renovating that to make that more of a usable space. So half of it is fairly usable. The other half needs a bit of work. Fair bit of work, I'd say.
So there is another dormitory that we're talking to Charles about renovating. And it's your understanding that some of that is usable, and that that's something that we're looking into renovating soon.
So already I would say some kind of workshops could be held there, just sort of slowly scaling up, kind of step by step, be a space for yoga or just pretty much anything that could be kind of done there. So, and so it seems like the process, the space can be sort of used sort of incrementally, it's not like one big renovation and then everything gets, set up. It's sort of, it can be slowly sort of developed.
I understand that you have an understanding that there are spaces that can currently be used, and the work that remains can be phased, and it could be used incrementally so that there's not one big renovation of the facility at any given point. Some of it can already be used.
Yeah, I feel heard, fully heard. Thanks.
Thank you. I'll speak back to Charles. I don't know if he's around. I think maybe he may be getting out of the car. Let me go to Karen.
I need to, my eye is not going to be able to take much more of this. So I'm going to have to take I just had eye surgery, Rosa, sorry. So I didn't think I'd make an hour, but I'm going to need to bow out. It's just too much for me to be on the screen this long.
Okay.
So I just want to say thank you so much for this incredibly informative, helpful. I so appreciate everybody listening and the input. And Rosa, I'd love to continue on at some point as a neighbor.
Absolutely.
But I'm just really excited that you guys have bought this property and your vision seems to be so amazing for it. So anyway, my eye should be in good shape in another 4 weeks. Well, hopefully 4 weeks. So I won't be, anyway, I just wanted to
We'll be
thank you.
holding more of these. These will be sort of ongoing. So you're welcome to take part again in another
Sounds
circle
great.
in the
Yeah,
future.
it's just too much
So,
eye strain for me. So I'm getting a little crazy, but thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll be bumping into each other.
okay, well, thank you for taking part, and
All
really
right.
grateful for your having been here.
Great meeting you all. Thank you.
Mhm.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Well, then in that case, Edwin, I'll speak back to you.
Okay, listening.
One of the things I wanted to clarify is on the remaining dormitory building, which is essentially 3 floors. I don't think any of it is currently usable. I think it's been fairly well gutted. There's not much left of what what was there before, and there are great opportunities for it. We're looking into that already. We met on site with David and Charles recently, and it's my understanding that we want to maximize the amount of people we can put in that residence, what we called residence hall. It's more of a dormitory. So we're going to work with you and come up with some options And I heard today also that you're wanting us to possibly look at the classroom building. So I just wanted to make sure I understood what, we were pursuing or proceeding with next.
Okay, so you're just wanting clarity about what we're proceeding with next, and there is the three-story residence or dormitory, and that's sort of not really usable space. It's sort of been gutted, and that's really not a usable space yet.
And we're going to try and maximize the use of that building, the second and third floor, to turn them back into resident rooms.
And so the intention is to turn those into residence rooms. They're presently a dormitory and make residence rooms there.
And whether or not we're going to tackle that in addition to the classroom/library building at this time or a later date.
Okay, so there's two buildings. There's the dormitory, and then there's the classroom. Some other, I guess there's some bedrooms there, rooms there. So you're thinking just the three-story building to renovate to begin with, and not be tackling the other one right off.
That's either way is fine. I just wasn't sure what the direction was going to be. Yeah.
Oh, so just not sure which to do renovate the whole thing or just one section to begin with.
Yeah, but we have some ideas already in place, and we're looking forward to working closely with you guys to come up with something that'll work best for your facility.
Yeah, so there's some ideas, and kind of looking forward to taking the next step, I guess, to develop the facility.
Thanks. Yeah, I think
Okay.
I've been heard at this point.
Okay, Charles, are you there or just checking? No, looks like you're muted if you are there. Maybe they stopped or something. So I'll just speak to Angela then. Yeah, Charles will actually be there today. I don't know if he's driving down right now. You might even be able to stop by the property there. I don't know what time they're going to be there, but might be able to take a look at the space.
Sorry, my dog's barking in the background, so I'm muting. Charles is on his way down there, and there may be an opportunity for me to go there later today. Though that would be lovely. I've been to the place a long time ago. My friend played basketball there all the time.
Okay. Well, okay. Well, since I guess we can just open it up now, just to discussion. I like to start with the empathy circle process because it just makes sure that everyone is heard. And it's also sort of a foundational practice that if conflict comes up or something, we always revert back to slowing down the conversation and going into an empathy circle. So I see the empathy as sort of a foundation, for the center too, that we are, kind of grounding it in this practice. We want to continue with these dialogues. We have one the next 2 weeks on the 9th and the 16th lined up, and then we'll be holding them on Mondays at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So, invite you to take part in more, maybe, during the week, ideas will come up, or you talk with your friends that you can take part in some more. We do record them. We'll be recording them so that, others can watch this and they'll sort of be informed about, what we've discussed so far. And, keep the conversation going is sort of the intention here, and maybe even scale it up, hold more, because I have a large empathy community that we're starting with empathy circles with the Santa Barbara community, neighbors, people directly involved, and maybe opening it to others, to a larger community to dialogue about the space. So I just kind of open it up for any comments or just anything you want to say before we maybe we'll close after that.
I'd like to speak if I may.
Yeah, just just free
Yeah,
style. you know.
I'm also grateful for the continuity that Rose has been involved in this project, because I think that's important. So I think that's what Charles was doing as well. There's continuity, there's a continuation of intention for the buildings and in the process. And I'm wondering if, do you have a mission statement or a vision for the retreat center? Because even the word, there's a lot of people working in Santa Barbara and looking at properties for wellness and retreats. I know of at least 2 other people looking at purchasing properties and repurposing them. So I'm just wondering if there is a vision for it or a mission statement.
We don't have a clear vision statement. We have the empathy center, which I do, which is really about bridging social political divides, personal social political divides. So that's kind of what I would be bringing to it. So I think we're sort of in that stage, and these dialogues are a bit of, hey, let's, we're sort of hearing what everybody, where everybody is. I think you sort of heard Charles, that he just likes the whole, idea of retreat centers. It's been meaningful for him. Charles is more along the religious lines. I'm more secular, so he's, has that's maybe some, but I also see the aspect of interfaith, that bring interfaith groups together. So it's really about, there's no one, religion or anything. It's about bridging, the interfaith, having interfaith dialogues, political interfaith, interpolitical dialogues to really just create this empathic understanding and connection. So for me, that's the core of it, and everything sort of fits within that vision. And but Charles and I, this is sort of new, so we're kind of this. You're kind of you're in the sausage making. You're in the sausage making process here with us. So.
Got it. That's awesome. I like the idea. I mean, I too am Catholic, but I like the idea of interfaith as well, because I feel, I don't know, I'm all about taking down walls. Right? So, and building them in a way that's meaningful. And I really, really see how my daughters, I'm going to be gone also the rest of, I'm leaving for Australia for a month tomorrow. So yeah, my youngest daughter has left in January, was going to come back, but now isn't. So we're going to do a little bit of traveling and visiting and seeing her. And our oldest daughter's just moved here from Toronto, and I see 20-year-olds really struggling with meeting other people, and they're so isolated because of this thing and this thing that we're on screens. I would love to bring problem solving and, I don't know, classes on ethics and morals and decision making, like how to navigate decisions, how to think constructively. Was it the Hendricks Cup people at Esalen? We're bringing those, like helping us better communicate and understand each other.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's what we're about.
That's so exciting to me to hear that.
Me too. Yeah, because it's like, that's all that I care about. In my life, I've decided if I cannot be of service, I can't really understand another purpose. Right? We're all here to be of service to each other and to the world we live in, the planet we live on.
I couldn't help but think of a couple of organizations that I've been involved with, and I'm excited about the possibility of them maybe partnering with you in some way, shape, or form someday. Edwin and Charles, if you're listening. I've been on the board of CALM here in Santa Barbara, Child Abuse Listening Mediation.
Amazing.
An amazing organization, and maybe bringing some opportunities for children to use that space in some way, shape, or form someday would be awesome. I'd love to introduce you to that organization. I've also been involved with the building of Serenity House, which is a hospice facility here in Santa Barbara. And the more you spend time here in Santa Barbara, Edwin, you'll see we have an amazing community of very philanthropic, great people who give a lot of themselves. And, those organizations and many others, that, I won't name, just will benefit a lot from this center. And, just bringing the community in more will be a great opportunity for them to, work with you and use the facility someday.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'd love to connect with all those. And so if anyone has ideas of projects to host there, just bring them, actually take part in an empathy circle, invite all those people into an empathy circle to begin a dialogue with us. And if you have an idea of how, something, I think we're almost close to, just need a bit of furniture, could already start holding. When Charles and I were there, we just grabbed some mattresses and slept on the floor. So we need a bit of furniture for, part of that, but we can get something started, just, little projects like that, and so just propose something. We can just kind of see about scheduling and, for people to start seeing, using the space and seeing what it's like and coming up with ideas. That's great to network.
I think it'll have to start with making connections, to our community and having you meet all these people, and I'm sure they'll have lots of ideas.
I already feel like I'm making connections here with both of you and Karen too.
Really?
So yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they were considering it for a homeless shelter, because I walk up there, I hike a lot, and I know someone just moved in. They're like, they were so upset about what was happening. I wasn't really paying attention because I wasn't, So this is a kind of a redirect.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that name actually.
And we're even looking at what the name is for the space. Charles likes Valinor, which is the home of the elves in Lord of the Rings. I don't know. I like Empathy Center. So if you have any thoughts on a good name for this, I put up Canoas Center.com. So just as a temporary space. So it's easy to, I think Angela, you'd mentioned putting up a sign on the right at the space.
Yeah, it's just an idea.
Yeah, just know that people who are driving by that they could learn about these empathy circles. So I think that's a good idea. Like join us in an empathy visioning circle. Go to canoascenter.com so it'll be easy for people to find. So because we are
Does
trying
Charles
to spread
have that?
What?
Does Charles have that since he's driving there?
Does he
Also,
have?
like you just made a comment about the possible name. You said redirect.
Yeah.
I
Well,
heard that.
I just play. It's got to be the. I love empathy circle, but I feel it can. It has to be something so generic that it doesn't stop. So for me, accessibility is super important. I'm all about it. When I teach a class, I want everyone to feel that they belong there, because I never felt like I belonged growing up, and I never felt like I belonged in a yoga room. So I'm very sensitive about even the name, but that's not my business, right? And just share.
Yeah, we're looking for ideas. It's like,
Yeah.
what do you feel energetic about?
It's got to be neutral but accessible. So, Seminary is pretty intimidating. Lord of the Rings, my youngest kid would love. So I didn't even know that. I'm like, I wrote it down, Valinor. There you go.
Yeah, it's where Bilbo and Frodo go at the end. At the very end, he and you don't know even they go off on the ship with the elves to this undying lands. But the name's already been taken, the domain name. So that's kind of an issue.
Well, redirect maybe is too. I don't know. It just that happens when you get. It's best to do that at the space. Well, in my thoughts are it's best to do it at the space with a group of people, and then organically comes up. It'll be like, oh,
yeah, that'd be an idea too.
Yeah, get my friend Amy Amy Cooper to join one of these because she's involved in a lot of projects around. She ran a store of plum goods for a long time and has been helping other startups as well. And she's a great resource. I mean, there's lots of talent here, you know, lots of talent. It's exciting. I'm happy for you. So I unfortunately won't be able to join in until later on, but if I can be of service in any other way, let me know.
Yeah, you can also call in from Australia too. So
Yeah,
the
I'm a
Zoom is-
little SIM card stunned. We'll see what happens when we're done. We're moving a lot, and then we're doing watching some tennis in Melbourne because we both love tennis.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, on the 9th, I think, and the 16th, and then every Monday, you know, going forward, those next 2 circles are full and then they're open. And if there's more interest, we can always add another day to you know, to kind of do these dialogues. They also be running it through the transcriptions and, you know, taking notes on the questions and ideas that came up and posting those. So yeah, this is just getting the dialogue started. So grateful for you taking part. Sorry that Charles, I don't know, something seems to have happened.
Probably internet.
Yeah, he's still
There's
connected.
pockets.
Mhm.
Oh, it is. Okay, never mind.
He's still there, but we're not seeing him. I'm not sure, I don't know what happened there. So anyway, maybe this is a time to wrap up and to be continued and send out an invite to friends. I think you have the link to the invite here, and we'll just keep the dialogue going and hope to connect again, Angela, about because you seem to have a lot of ideas and also ideas on how to run a place like this, so we can continue that discussion.
I'd love to do that. I'd love to talk to you about that. Rosa, it's really great to meet you too.
Wonderful to meet you. Thank you, Angela.
Yeah, it's really cool. We have some friends who are architects, but I've never met you before. It's another little Santa Barbara secret. And Edwin, I'm grateful for that there's someone out there trying to repair the divides. I really am.
Yeah, if there's I'll send you a video. You can see there's a documentary called Trump Phobia, What Both Sides Fear.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah, and there's a little video clip of our mediation. So it just shows us, you know, mediating the sides. That's really what, and I'm hearing too, that's what you're interested in too. So there's a real synergy there of how do we bring people together and how do we, you know, nurture that connection. And also the youth, you know, how do you give the youth tools just for constructive relating to each other? So that fits in, you know, to that vision. It's the interfaith. How do you bring the different sides together? If there's any sort of community, you know, conflict issues, it can be a space for people to come together to dialogue, because we have the conflict mediation tools, practices, and so forth. So that I see that as like a core to kind of bring people together like that.
Amazing.
Very exciting.
Okay, well, I'll say goodbye then. Thank you again
Thank
so
you for
much.
hosting.
And to be
Thank
continued.
Thank you very much, Edwin.
Bye. Have a
Bye.
good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.